We have got to address the fact that millions of people vote in safe seats and they feel their vote doesn't count. The Westminster system is part of the problem. I think we need to change the House of Commons as well. I think we need voting reform. I don't believe all people in all places will be equally represented in Westminster until every vote matters. Not my words, but the words of Sir Keir Starmer and Andy Burnham, two of the most powerful people in the Labour Party, who have both supported the need for electoral reform in the UK. The Liberal Democrat Group have decided to move this motion today because as we head towards the general election next year, hopefully sooner rather than later, we believe it's important to have an overdue conversation about replacing first past the post, an electoral system not fit for a modern democracy with a system that is fairer and more representative. The arguments for change are many. PR ensures that all votes have equal value and seats won match votes cast. Under PR, MPs better reflect the age, gender and protected characteristics of both local communities and the nation. PR encourages a more pragmatic, consensual politics, which I'm sure would be beneficial both in Westminster and indeed here in Brent. PR can inspire renewed confidence in a broken political system. We're asking Brent Council to join 29 other local authorities of different political persuasions to support the need for electoral reform. There is a growing movement across the country longing for politicians at all levels to be brave enough to challenge the status quo and push Britain to become a modern, functioning democracy. After 13 years of chaotic Tory rule, particularly since 2016, the mood for change in the country is strong. There is an opportunity to deliver more than just economic change or tweaks in policy, but real substantive change to our democracy as a whole. Let's take this opportunity and seek to enable a new,
Thank you very much, Councillor Georgiou. Your time is up.
Of every single voter will matter and be heard.
Thank you very much. Following the motion had been formally moved, I will now open up the debate. In order to manage the time available, could I ask members wishing to speak on this motion to please raise your hands? Councillor Maurice.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. There is no such thing as a perfect voting system. Any system is going to have its flaws. The Lib Dems have already had their opportunity. Remember, under Nick Clegg, they asked for and got a referendum on the alternative vote. They lost. PR would give, in Brent, would probably give us quite a few more Conservatives on the benches. It might even give a couple more to the Lib Dems, but probably only a couple more. But there is a flaw, especially in government, not so much in local, but especially in government. PR allows, let us say, undesirable parties like the BNP or perhaps some of the very left-wing communists to get a foothold in Parliament, which it could even in local authorities, but those sort of parties are not good for community relations and the harmony which we enjoy as we are at the moment. And one more thing, let me tell you, as far as I'm concerned, the only reason why the Lib Dems want PR is because they nearly always come third, fourth or even less in elections. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can I have Councillor Rubin?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. There are many reasons to oppose this motion's call to scrap our current voting system, but I'll just focus on one theme today. First past the post, contrary to some accounts, is actually a more democratic electoral system than proportional representation in terms of the basic democratic principle of accountability of politicians to citizens. Take party manifestos as one example. Under first past the post, voters are presented with alternate manifestos which they can consider and vote according to their preference. The governing parties, elected on the basis of these manifestos, are then obliged to implement these policies when they achieve power. For example, here in Brent, the Labour Party was elected with most votes in the majority of the seats in the borough, and 1 year later we have either delivered or are delivering on 70 out of 80 of the commitments in our manifesto, with obviously a number of years left to get the remaining delivered. With a proportional system, voters are presented with manifestos by politicians, and then the same politicians have a series of shady meetings in smoke-filled rooms and decide which part of their manifestos they are willing to negotiate away. Voters in Brent know this all too well. Take the 2010 coalition government between the Conservatives and Liberal Democrats as an example. The Lib Dems went into that election promising to scrap tuition fees for university students. And what did they do as soon as they entered a coalition? They negotiated this away, including tuition fees and also a crippling package of austerity measures that their voters did not sign up for. Proportional representation puts more power in the hands of politicians and less power in the hands of voters
30 seconds.
when it comes to the policies implemented by government administration. Proportional systems also sever the link between politicians and their constituents by preventing voters with party lists, picked by party apparatchiks, and who are then elected with no constituents to directly serve or be accountable to. The last thing we need in politics is politicians who feel less obliged to listen to the concerns of their constituents and more about what party officials in Westminster think. So to conclude, it's a less democratic system than first past the post.
Thank you very much, Councillor Rubin. Time is up. Thank you. Can I have Councillor Miller, please?
It's a bit of a competition in my lifetime to find the worst government. There have been quite a lot of worst governments in my lifetime. Some of those governments have been majority Conservative governments, but a good contender for the worst government in my lifetime was a coalition government between the Conservatives and Liberal Democrats from 2010. And as my colleague points out, that all revolved around a series of shady deals cut in smoke-filled rooms, aimed from the Liberal Democrat point of view at decimating our public services in return for a 5p charge on plastic bags. Utterly ruinous political decision. But one thing that I can't deny is that that 2010 government was the most effectively Conservative government that I have seen in my lifetime, and it was a coalition. And so I really don't think there is a really good argument that coalitions impede parties that win the plurality of the vote from steering forward their agenda. Indeed, the country that probably most accurately reflects the social democratic politics that I believe in, the richness of democracy, the pro-welfare state policies, the power to trade unions, all of those things that I believe in, the country that probably best reflects that in Europe is Sweden, albeit one that's slided backwards slightly, which is based around PR. PR at the 2021 Labour conference got 150 CLP nominations and was the most popular motion by a long distance. The Lib Dem motion points out that this is Labour Party policy, and it's correct to do so. Labour Party policy was passed.
30 seconds.
And it was passed at the conference afterwards, at which 140 CLP motions came in from around the country. I regret to say I've never rebelled in my 9 years as councillor in Brent. I will be doing so tonight in order to vote with my party policy and probably against the majority of my group. I won't tell other people how to vote on this, but I wanted to explain the reason why I'm going the way that I am. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Right, thank you very much. Last one, Councillor Cllr.
Thank you. I just wanted to build on a point that Councillor Rubin highlighted at the end, because I think it's sort of fundamentally important to this. There's a tradition and an expectation that we have in our democracy in this country that everybody has their MP they can hold to account, they also have their councillor they can hold to account, no matter where and that to me is the definition of every voter being treated equally. Whatever decision they take, you may hold them to account, you can write to them, you know who they are, and you can vote them out at the next election if you so choose. I think under PR, that is certainly lost, and particularly, as Councillor Rubin points out, the party list system, which is sort of used in much of Europe, takes away sort of local selection and local choosing of people, and it just goes to the list of people the leader of a particular party at any given time chooses to put at the top of their list. And fundamentally, that severs a link which I think British people have absolutely been grown up with as their birthright and would be very reluctant to give up. Secondly, there's a real issue when we sort of talk about this first past the post versus PR. I mean, to my knowledge, there's 100 types of PR. The sort of pure PR of, you know, you vote, you get 5% of the votes, you get 5% of the seats, only used in 2 countries as I'm aware of. I think before you want to rip up a system which has been used in the mother of all parliaments for hundreds and hundreds of years, you really need to settle down on exactly which type of PR it is that you want and how it would work. But what perhaps also most concerns me about this is parties which get a fleeting bit of interest may win 5% of the vote in a particular election, then suddenly get a huge amount of influence. I just think
30 seconds.
If we'd had PR in the last how many years, parties such as UKIP would have had a serious presence sort of in Parliament, perhaps getting seats and doing that as well. So I'd say if we'd had PR in this country, Nigel Farage right now wouldn't be eating bollocks in the Australian jungle, he'd be talking bollocks from his seat around the cabinet table.
Thank you very much. We have now reached the end of the time allocated for this motion. Can I therefore ask Cllr Georgiou if you wish to exercise the right of reply as the mover of the original motion? You have up to 1 minute.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I won't take the full 1 minute. I want to address a couple of points made by councillors before me. So, Councillor Maurice talked about fringe parties getting into Westminster. Well, actually, it's important to note that most of those fringe people are in your party, actually as the government of the day, and it wouldn't change if we had PR. Ultimately, the Conservative Party gets these people elected anyway. In terms of what Councillor Miller said, I do actually commend what you're doing tonight in terms of voting for this motion. This is, after all, Labour Party policy, so I do hope there will be
30 seconds.
I do hope there will be other Labour councillors brave enough to support your party's position on this. We do believe that this is going to ensure that we will have a fairer, more democratic voting system. And as Councillor Cllr says, we may not agree on exactly what that is right now, but ultimately I do think we need to be moving away from first past the post and towards something that is more democratic. So I really do hope that you'll be supporting your party leadership on this and voting with the Labour Party tonight too. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We now move to vote on this motion. Can I therefore stop by asking those members in favour of the motion to raise their hands? Can I check if any members wish to vote against the motion? Any abstentions? Okay. Thank you. I therefore declare the motion carried. Oh, sorry, defeated. Defeated. It's defeated.